I'll talk to you. I have a couple requests.
Okay.
First, my nerves are shot.
Mm-hmm.
I want a cigarette really badly.
This is 26-year-old Joe Roberts, and he has just made himself the top suspect in the mysterious disappearance of Brittany Tavar. What he didn't realize was that he was being interrogated by Florida's best detectives who had flown across the country determined to find Brittany and uncover his dark secret. Brittany Tavar was known as a free-spirited woman, the kind of person who never let her family's wealth go to her head. She lived in St. Augustine, supported by some family money, and was a regular at the oceanside Serenata Beach Club. On July 5th, 2010, Brittany attended a party at the beach club, a party that would become her last known sighting. At the time, Brittany was involved in a court case against one of her neighbors, Anne, seeking a repeat violence injunction. She was scheduled to appear in court on July 6th, but she never showed up. Her absence was noticed immediately, prompting her friends to check in on her. When they saw her car was gone and got no response at the door, they decided to break in, but Brittany was nowhere to be found. That same day, her friend Brenda filed a missing persons report, officially beginning the search for Brittany Tavar. Now, while inside the house, Brittany's friends noticed two strange things. The sliding door was slightly open, and the air conditioner was running. Brittany was always careful about locking up before leaving, so this raised concerns that she might have been abducted. Adding to their worry, both of Brittany's dogs were also missing. It was unclear whether she had taken them with her or if they had gotten out through the open door, but it added another layer to the investigation. Weeks later, one of the dogs was found in Hopkins, South Carolina, over 300 miles from Brittany's home. Considering how much Brittany cared for her dogs, it was shocking to find the animal covered in red stains. Assuming it could be blood, investigators ran tests to determine if the blood belonged to Brittany Tavar. Meanwhile, detectives searched Brittany Tavar's house and discovered that her credit cards, jewelry, and car were missing. Initially, they considered the possibility that she might have left on her own. To follow this lead, they pulled her transaction records and found that her card was still being used. One transaction, made after her disappearance, was traced to a location near Wyoming. When detectives reviewed the ATM footage from that transaction, they spotted a man using her card and driving Brittany's car. According to her friends, Brittany had last been seen at a block party with this same man. They also revealed that he had been staying in one of her spare rooms. That man was 26-year-old Joe Roberts. This raised a lot of questions. Who was Joe Roberts? Why was he staying in one of Brittany's spare rooms? And why was he out there using her credit cards and driving her car? Detectives even obtained footage from the time and place where Roberts made the purchase and noted that he was alone. Based on his transaction trail, it appeared that he was planning to escape by crossing the border into Canada. Now, hypothetically, this plan might have worked. He could have driven Brittany's SUV across the border while detectives were still scattered between Hopkins, South Carolina, and Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida. But two acts of sheer stupidity led to his arrest. First, the transactions that made it very easy to track him, and then second, his attempt to steal food from a store in Seattle. That's right, he was caught by Seattle PD on a minor theft charge. What Roberts didn't know was that Florida detectives were already flying out to interrogate him.
Joe,
Yeah, what's
these
up?
gentlemen want to talk about your warrants out of Florida.
Hey, what's up, Joe?
What's going on?
George.
Harrigan.
Kit Brantley.
Joseph? What do you go by, Joe or
Joe.
Joe Brantley. Nice to meet you.
Sorry to pull you out in the evening. We kind of had some stuff going on, so we didn't get to it till now.
Okay.
But I appreciate you meeting me. You are in custody. So before we get started, I do have to read you Miranda.
Okay.
I know the patrol guys did, I guess, yesterday, right? When they talked to you. But let me read this to you, and then we'll talk if you're cool with that, and I'll answer any questions you have. Are you from here, Joe?
I lived in Seattle for a while when I was growing up, like grade school.
beginning of middle school.
Mm-hmm.
But I was actually born in Wisconsin and went to high school in Indiana. So
Okay, so kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
Well, what brings you to Seattle?
I was looking for change. The old friend, and I don't know, just I needed change. So.
Old friend?
Yeah, old friend I hadn't talked to in a long time. Hit me up and so we got to talking, and I came up to here to see her, and that was about it.
A female friend?
Mm-hmm.
It's always women that make us run all over the country, right?
Yeah, they do. They do tend to do that.
Yeah, I gotcha. Well, how did you get up here?
I drove.
You drove?
Yeah.
What? Do you have a vehicle, or you borrowed somebody's vehicle, or what?
I borrowed somebody's vehicle.
Okay. And whose vehicle was that?
Girl named Brittany.
Brittany from
Florida.
What's her last name?
Tavar.
Okay.
And just like that, within the first 5 minutes, he easily connected the dots for the detectives. But he did say that he borrowed the car, which is ironic because it's been almost 2 months since Brittany's disappearance. So why would she give this guy her SUV for a full 2 months?
And where's that vehicle now?
It's still here. I'm assuming that's what this warrant is about.
Yeah, I mean, obviously. Well, I figured you knew what it was about. I don't mean to beat around the bush,
no,
but
I'm assuming that's what it's about.
because obviously, I'm sure she's wanting her vehicle back. I guess is the problem.
Yeah. So, I still. I mean, it's still here. I don't have access to it anymore. It's. Well, it was up by the library, so.
Well, what's your thought process on this whole issue with these charges? I mean, did she know you had the vehicle?
She knew I had the vehicle. I can understand. There was issues. And, so I don't get the $500,000 warrant. I haven't been able to get a hold of her ever, so I don't know what's going on.
At one point, he hinted that things between him and Brittany didn't end on good terms, which raises the question, did she willingly lend him the car, or did he just take it? Just a heads up, if you're liking the video, please consider subscribing to the channel. It helps more than you know. All right, let's get back to it.
What can we do to make it right? I mean,
I have no idea.
well, tell me this. Who is she to you? I mean, how do you...
She was just a friend. We met in a Barnes & Noble, and she wanted to start up a business, and I was in a real rut down in Florida, and I said, okay. And then she goes and buys me a computer so that we can get this business started, right? And I'm like, great, let's get it going. She lets me move into her house and start up to help her start up this company. Except the problem is that once I start getting going on this, I'm the one starting up the entire thing. And while she's helping me out a lot, it didn't work out because she didn't want to do anything at all for it. And it started, he kept it changing from, I'll help you with this to I'll help you with it. And so it didn't end up working out. Long story short, I was like, this isn't working out. We got in a huge fight on a Monday, a huge argument. And it was, I don't know, just basically about all this. And I was like, look, is there any way we can work out something else? Can I? And I was like, look, I have a friend in Seattle. I'd like to get to Seattle. Can I go to Seattle? And is there any way you can help me get to Seattle? And she was like, okay, yeah, you can take my car and go to Seattle. And I was like, great, thank you. And I will pay you back. And so, she let me use her car and her cell phone. And I got in the car and cell phone or with the cell phone, and I took off. And then a couple of days later, and she gave me her debit card as well, so that I would have gas money, and so that I'd have gas money.
We already know that he was using her credit cards. but he admitted to it, claiming that they were borrowed, too. According to Brittany's friends, she was a kind, generous person who went out of her way to help people. She even let homeless individuals stay in her spare rooms to help them get back on their feet. Brittany's kindness was undeniable, but the amount of stuff that Joe claimed that she let him borrow makes her sound like a saint.
What was the plan? How was she supposed to call you? Did you have a phone at the
I
time?
had her cell phone.
Oh, you had her cell phone?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was supposed to call you on the cell phone.
Yeah, she was supposed to call me on the cell phone. And unfortunately, the cell phone died because I forgot to grab it. When I left, I didn't have the charger with me.
Gotcha.
But long story, I figured she just got, something happened and she got pissed at me. And, I'd also kind of screwed her over a little bit. So, because I took some money and some jewelry. But
did she find out about that?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
So you don't know? She never confronted you about that?
I haven't talked to her about it since I had.
How much money did you take?
A couple $100.
Let's do a quick inventory check. Joe had her credit cards, her SUV, her cash, her cell phone, and even her jewelry. It is commendable how the detective kept his composure because, let's be honest here, this level of audacity could make anyone laugh out loud. What's more shocking is how casually Joe admitted to all of this, as if it were normal. That is the behavior of a dangerous psychopath.
How many cards did she provide you with? You said she let you use a debit card or something?
Credit card and debit card.
We said just one.
Well,
so what
I was only supposed to use the credit card, actually.
You were only supposed to use a credit card?
Yeah.
So why'd she let you have the debit card then?
She didn't. That was kind of one of the things that I didn't even realize I had taken it until after I'd left.
Okay.
So,
So she obviously would have been upset had she known you had both, which she probably is upset.
Yeah, and then in Idaho, I got pulled over, and I actually thought because I hadn't heard from her or anything, and I hadn't called her, but I hadn't heard from her, and I got pulled over, and I was actually kind of worried because I didn't have an ID at the time. I had a driver's license, but I didn't have an ID. And it was my driver's license was in Indiana, and anyway, I was worried because I thought she might have called it in or something. That's why I thought I was getting pulled over at first. So I kind of freaked. But
well, how'd that go?
They let me go. Because I told them what was up. I was like, I'm just driving. Actually, I kind of fudged on it, but.
Well, what do you mean? What did you say?
I told them that I was staying with my aunt and she was in town, and I wasn't from around here, and that's why I was speeding, because the signs were all crazy. Which was true. The signs were all crazy. It was 30-mile-per-hour speed zone, and I don't know. I'd been driving on the highway and I had a heavy foot, and anyway,
right.
Cop gave me a break, so I left and crashed out for the night, and then took off.
After a while, he's realized that he's so hooked up on his story that he has yet to fully understand why he's here. Because he's smart enough to realize that none of this is related to the theft or a simple traffic stop. This is about something more serious.
So I have a question for you. I mean, car theft is one thing. Why is my bounty so high?
It's a good question. I was hoping you can answer that for me. The warrant's out of Florida.
Yeah.
Obviously it's concerning that it's that high.
Yeah.
I was hoping that maybe you could shed some light on maybe there's something more to the story than just that. I don't know. I mean, is there something else you stole from her that is more important than a car? I mean,
no. As far as I know, it's just the car and the jewelry and the cards.
Right. But one of them, you said she let you use.
Yeah.
She let you use one of them, but she didn't know about the other one, right?
I think I should probably get a lawyer.
You think you probably should?
Yeah, I think I need to talk to a lawyer because I don't know where this is going. Obviously, something you guys aren't telling me. And yeah.
I'm not sure what you mean by that, but
Okay. Well, can I talk to a lawyer? I mean,
absolutely, that's your right.
Awesome.
But
And here's the first smart thing that he did. He asked for a lawyer. Unfortunately for him, it came after he had already done massive damage to his case. Now at this point, you might be thinking that this case is heading straight to trial, right? But before the interrogation ends, the detective subtly reminds Joe of what's at stake. Pay close attention to this moment.
is there anything that we can help you out with as far as getting in touch with your family? Would you like to talk to your aunt at any point in the near future?
I mean, yeah, I guess. I did see my grandmother was in the courtroom today.
Well, good. That's good.
Which I had no idea how she found out about this, but
Well, listen, because you said you want to talk to an attorney, you're a smart guy, and you know I'm not going to ask you any more questions about the case. But I do want to tell you, your family's very worried about you, and they do want to talk to you. And you and I know that there's much more to this. And we were here to give you the opportunity to tell us what really happened. Because you and I both know that there's a lot more that happened. And we already pretty much know what happened. A lot of times, the reason we exist in investigations is to get the other side of the story. So that if this was a simple mistake or somebody, acted out in rage because somebody else did something wrong in self-defense, so to speak, then that's a totally different story than somebody acting out because they wanted to act out, if you understand what I'm saying. There's a difference between somebody that meant to do something and somebody that didn't mean to do something. That's all I'm saying. So just keep in mind that in order for us to talk again, you've got to ask to talk to me.
Okay. Well,
because there's
and I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, let's just say, I need to know my options before I come back to you.
Of course, I understand.
Okay.
And I'd do the same thing if I was in your position. But just remember, you have to ask to talk to me.
Okay.
I can't come and see you, no matter what. So you've got to ask to talk to me if you want to talk to me. And know that there's a lot more that we can talk about. And you know exactly what I'm saying. And all I was here for was to make sure that this wasn't, you weren't some monster, but that this was a big accident. That's all we were here for.
Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Would you, do you want to talk to your aunt before I leave? Do you want me to get you on the phone with her?
Yeah, sure.
During this process, you can see Joe starting to second-guess himself. For someone familiar with the justice system, this would be the moment to calmly stick to their request for legal counsel and prepare for court. But Joe isn't that person. So, in a moment of hesitation, he retracts the only smart decision that he's made so far.
Well, and I'll tell you this, I made a huge mistake. I don't know. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why it happened. I don't even really remember it. I freaked out and I ran.
Well, we all make mistakes in life. All of us do. I've made my share. George has made his share. And hey, some mistakes are a little bigger than others. But I mean,
we're human beings, is what he's trying to say. Remember that. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. We're all the same.
Right.
And,
but yeah.
And we pretty much know what happened. But
okay. Well,
what actually occurred that
I don't honestly, I don't know. Tuesday night we got in an argument basically, and I was so, and she wouldn't shut up about the stupid court case that she had to go to, and I'm talking when she wouldn't shut up about it. She would not
She was obsessed with it.
Obsessed with it to the point where that's all she would ever talk about.
That was her life.
Exactly. And she wanted me to make these videos for her evidence so that she could get this restraining order. And I did that. And I did it a number of times. And that night she came, and I was supposed to go with her the next day to court. And that night she came to me again and said, hey, I need you to do these videos up for me again and make me 2 DVDs. I was like, okay. We got in an argument about something else. I don't really remember anymore exactly the details of it. But long story short, I was pissed, but I said, all right, I'll make you the DVDs. She was pissed. She was like, I don't want you to come with me tomorrow. And I was like, fine, great. And, I went in my room and I watched whatever and I did whatever and I stayed up late. But I made the DVDs and I left them out on the counter. Well, actually, I left one out on the counter. I left both of them out on the counter. Anyway, I went to sleep and I remember waking up and it must have been early. And I remember waking up and hearing her go off about something, and I don't really remember much after that. And then I remember standing over her and she's dead and there's blood everywhere. And
We'll take a deep breath for a minute and think about the part that you're leaving out. Like how she ended up on the floor with blood all over her. I mean, how did that happen?
Honestly, guys, I don't really remember. I don't know. I remember waking up and hearing her go off about no names on the DVDs, and I came out and I was yelling at her and calling her an ungrateful bitch, and then I picked up something and I hit her.
You know what it was that you picked up?
Hammer, I think.
How many times did you hit her?
I don't know, too many.
Did she run?
I don't remember.
Well, you're starting to remember. You're remembering a lot.
Just take your time. So what did you do
What did I do?
next after she's laying on the floor and
I covered her up with a blanket for a while, and I kind of freaked out and bought a pack of cigarettes, and then sat on the back porch and chain smoked about a pack of cigarettes until I had decided what I was going to do, and then I did it. And which was basically clean up all the blood, pour bleach everywhere, and basically my goal was to buy time. I didn't think I would be getting away with anything. I just thought I would be buying time.
With the full confession and the evidence cross-checked, the interrogation shifts into what feels like a podcast. Picture 3 microphones and the detectives casually talking with Joe about what might have happened if he hadn't made one critical mistake: getting caught trying to steal food.
Like I said, fellas, you want me to be honest, I could have been gone.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in the country for, 3.5, 4 months now, I think it is.
Yeah. If you could have left the country, what was your plan? Where would you have gone? Canada?
No, that's what I wanted you guys to think. I was going to go south. I just ended up getting here, and when I got here, I reevaluated everything, and I decided,
we were getting all these sightings in Oregon, so we thought you were probably in the foothills and that you would be going south because it was going to start getting cold.
Well, yeah, no, I wanted you guys to think I was going north, and then I was going to go south. And when I got here, I was like, well...
Your aunt was mad at us in the beginning because we sent law enforcement to every place that you've ever lived at, so obviously that included her friends, and so
Now, somebody did break into her house.
I did not break into her
well,
house.
I know that now.
We know.
because you've been. It really threw us for a loop because here you've been on the run for so long, and then her house gets broken into in what, August, middle of August.
Yeah.
And we thought for sure. I was like, oh my gosh, did he double back and get to Indianapolis somehow? And he's strung out and he needs to get something. I don't know. It was just weird. It threw us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, it is what it is. Somebody
I
broke into her house.
That was one thing.
Just coincidental.
I'm sorry. That sucks. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to make sure is I didn't involve any of my family, and I didn't want them. I mean, I figured they'd eventually learn about it. I was hoping that it kind of sucks that you went to everywhere I used to live because.
Well, I mean, at the time, I didn't know exactly what had happened. I mean, we had to try to find you, so to speak. I mean, I had to assume that you'd try to go somewhere or that you were familiar with, you know. But is there...
Yeah, eventually I would have ended up in South America somewhere. Probably.
Is there anything you haven't told us that you think we need to know about this incident or anything else?
I don't think so. I think I've gone over everything you guys already knew about the
This
Walmart purchases and yeah.
The shovel that you buried her with, where is that at? Is that at the house?
Ooh, I have no idea, to be honest. I mean, I would assume it's probably at the house. Like you said, I don't know if it was really I mean, it was pitch black dark, and I was trying to hurry because I didn't want to get caught and all this. So it was not a decent burial, not anything she deserved.
I mean, do you think it's going to be obvious to us? Or is she covered up pretty good?
She's covered up, but I don't think it's covered up. I mean, it's been a minute. But she has trash bags, so over her, just basically wrapped around for, I guess I did for smell and for.
Is it wrapped around her whole body, the trash bags?
Yeah,
because that'll help preserve.
Yeah, there's. I figured as much. Anyway, there's three of them. Two of them, and then one of them's in the middle that was cut.
And then the blanket's over her?
No, blanket's right under
blanket
her.
first, and then, okay, I got you. All right. Is there anything more about the actual event that you haven't told us? I mean, was it simply an act of rage and you used a hammer, or was there a different weapon? Was there more violence involved?
All I know is there was a hammer and that there was a ridiculous amount of blood afterwards, and that she was still alive for a little while, and that her throat was cut as well, and I don't know how that happened.
Now, you're saying that because you're having an actual memory of seeing it cut?
I don't know how that happened.
Well, I think you know how it happened. You just,
Right.
you just don't
I mean,
remember it.
I don't remember doing it.
All right, I got you. Yeah.
Right.
In this podcast moment, Joe even admits to taking Brittany's dogs intentionally, hoping that it would make it seem like she had simply left on her own. But the fun ends here. Joe Roberts was charged with first-degree murder. However, his defense negotiated a plea deal, citing his mental state and challenges with the admissibility of certain evidence. As part of the deal, he pleaded guilty to second-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years in a Florida State Correctional Facility. Now, if you think this case was horrific, you need to check out my video on the cannibal slaughterhouse.